Welcome back to Bassam. Today guys, I wanted to talk about my favorite season of Power Rangers, which you can tell is Power Rangers SPD from the title and all that. And I wanted to go and review every season of Power Rangers at one point because I love talking about the series. And I want to start talking about more individual series, like in depth. So today I'm going to start off with SPD because it is my favorite. I'll have other videos dedicated to like my least favorite season. I'll try and have a certain theme or something specific to talk about when it comes to each season, so it's not a plain boring review, but today I'm just going to be talking about SPD. As you can tell, I already really like it because I'm going to be talking about why it's my favorite season. So that's going to be the kind of theme for today's video, is just say everything that I love about this. Not too much that I dislike because it's just that good, but let's go ahead and get into it. You know, there's not too many Power Rangers series that I absolutely love, like are fantastic. There are really good ones, but I think SPD is just way above the rest, and that kind of seems to be an unpopular opinion, and I'm very surprised because, you know, I just like it that much. I think it's an appreciated season, but there are just so many things that I really like about it. And first of all, let's just talk about Doggy Kruger, because he's one of the most important characters in this season, and he really held up this season, and mainly because we don't really have many mentors within Power Rangers that really are this good, have so much depth, and that we really care about. I feel like there's a lot of mentors in Power Rangers that are kind of just there, and you don't really appreciate them because, you know, they don't spend too much time on their character. They're just there to be there to guide the Rangers. Someone like Gosei, Master G, even Udana, which was okay. It's just these characters are there, and they weren't really needed, or you would definitely want to go more in depth on their characters, a backstory, something like Doggy Kruger, which was done very well, like his origins on his home planet and his wife. I'm blanking on the name right now, or Isidia, I think that's her name, and just this tragic backstory which really gives him a motivation to go after Grum, and it made it very personal. And like I said, a lot of Power Ranger seasons, this is a problem. Now, you know, for every Gosei you do have a Tommy, or you have a Dr. K, someone like, or an RJ, but really here, I think Doggy Kruger was one of the best, if not the best mentor Power Rangers has ever had. He's up there with Tommy, and even Zordon at sometimes, even though Zordon, I'm a little iffy on him as well, but still, I found his character very intriguing, and the fact that he joined the team as well was great. Another thing I loved about Power Rangers SPD was its comedic relief characters, which, like Doggy Kruger, you can come by some really good comedic relief characters. For every Victor and Monty, there is definitely a Boom or a Bridge, which here obviously is the comedic characters for Power Rangers SPD, and they were perfect. Bridge, for sure, was one of the funniest Power Ranger characters ever. It's up there with Ziggy, definitely. And it's not that he had so many great, like, jokes, like, haha jokes. It was more just his weirdness. And you guys remember the toast, the buttery toast scene, where every time he said buttery, he wiggled his fingers, and you didn't know why. He always, you know, stood up on his hands. He was a very weird character. And maybe if you just picked a random episode with Bridge in it and watched it for the very first time, you might not think it's all that funny, but the more you got to know Bridge, the funnier he got when he did weird things, because you're like, oh, that's classic Bridge. And I also have to mention Boom. He was very weird. He messed up on a lot of things. He was clumsy. He was that sort of character. So he wasn't as, I think, funny as Bridge. He was more like slapstick humor. But that episode with him and the Orange Ranger when he dressed up with his own costume, that was one of the funniest episodes of Power Rangers to date. It was because you don't really see too much in Power Rangers, just random people trying to be Rangers because like they're their heroes. I mean, you see it every once in a while, but he actually got in the fight. Like, you have that episode from Megaforce and maybe even Dino Charge where these people pretend to be Rangers, you know, for the spotlight and everything, but when danger comes, they run away and they get caught. But Boom here, he did not want to get caught at all, so he just put on a random costume and went to save the day. And that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in the show. It's also what made his character special. He definitely cared. He wasn't just the clumsy scientist sidekick guy, but he really helped SPD, and he really played a role, and he wanted to help save the world. And here you can definitely tell, because he definitely put his life in danger to help save the world. Now, yes, he was also trying to impress his parents, but it can really go either way, and it's just crazy how much he wanted to be a Ranger, but just couldn't, yet he still went out and fought. That was a great episode. And of course, there are many other great Boom episodes as well. This was just definitely a highlighted moment, like when Kat left and he came back, begged for her not to go. That was a great episode as well, and he was also messing up all the inventions and stuff like that. He's just a really good character, so him and Bridge really held up the season as well, like Doggy Kruger did. Now, going into our main characters, the B Squad, of course, I really enjoyed this cast of characters. Although Sid sometimes just didn't really seem like the best character. She didn't have much depth to her. But Z, Bridge, like I said earlier, Sky, and Jack, some of the best Rangers of all time. Sky especially, he's my favorite Ranger on this team. Well, maybe Bridge, but Sky was the most serious and one of my favorite Rangers as well. And that was just because of the arc that he went through throughout the entire season. He started out as this stubborn do-gooder, I don't know if that's the word to use. He was very strict, he didn't know how to have fun, he just wanted to be like his dad. He wanted to be the Red Ranger, and he was very stubborn because of that. He couldn't just accept that Jack was the Red Ranger. But over time, he was able to accept it more. He came to respect Jack and realized that he really held a position as the Blue Ranger. He thought that he needed to be the Red Ranger to save the world, to be respected, but over the course of the series, he realized that's not the case. He can do just as much good as the Blue Ranger as the Red Ranger. And the final touch of him becoming the Red Ranger at the end of the season was just the perfect ending to any arc in Power Rangers history. I think it was so fantastic in that last shot where they say SPD emergency, and as they're about to morph and Sky becomes the Red Ranger, was a phenomenal end to the series. Now, yes, Bridge did become the Red Ranger and once a Ranger because I don't think they could have gotten the actor who played Sky back, but still, that was fine. He was at least the Red Ranger for a little bit, and he actually became head of SPD in New Tech City, so the arc that Sky went over was just phenomenal. Another character that really changed throughout the course of the series is Jack, for sure. He was originally a criminal, and he did things for the better good. He was kind of like Robin Hood in a way. He would steal things and give them to the poor. I understood where he was coming from, and he wanted to help people, but he wasn't willing to do that on the inside of the law. He thought the cops were just a joke, that they really couldn't get things done, and that they really didn't understand what was going on inside their community. And I guess that's sort of relatable to a lot of people in this day and age. Ultimately, Jack does join SPD because it was either that or jail. And over time, he came to respect the law a lot more. Towards the very beginning, he really didn't like the idea. He was doing it to just do it. He didn't respect anyone, and he didn't like what they were doing. But at the very end, he did ultimately respect the law, and he thought that is the real way to do things. And he kind of saw himself and this other lady, I forget what her name is, at the end of the series. It's interesting because Jack was going to arrest her for doing the same thing that he was preaching at the beginning of the series. Now, that wasn't exactly what she was doing, but still, he was willing to arrest her for the same things that he was doing at the beginning of the series and felt was good. But over time, he came to know that SPD isn't all that bad, that they really know how to get things done, and they really do care for people because he was one of them. And I think that's kind of a lesson that this entire series throws at you, and I think not too many people understand. And the lesson is that while you could say that certain police forces may not be the best, like they can't really get things done, that they're corrupt, things like that. But the lesson is that not all police are like that. Not all policemen are bad. They're people just like you and I, and they're trying to do the same thing, just on other sides of the law. They're trying to make the world a better place, and just because they do it in a different way that you don't exactly agree with doesn't mean that they're wrong, doesn't mean that they're evil. That's sort of the lesson that I took from it, and really embodied the entire arc that Jack went through throughout the entire series. It was definitely my favorite story in the series, and it showed that no matter who you are, no matter what your background, people can come together and do good. You started out with Sky, Bridge, and Sid, and they were your average policemen or recruits. Like, they knew that doing things on the right side of the law is what you need to do. They were goody two-shoes, you could say. And then you had Z and Jack, reformed criminals, working together with these goody two-shoes. I don't even know what I'm saying, but they were working together for the greater good, and it was kind of like a lesson in there that maybe you had to pay attention to really get, but I definitely appreciated. there are so many reasons why I love this season of Power Rangers, but those were definitely my biggest points, and I want to talk about more points in the future. But for today's video, I think I'm going to end it here because it's getting a little long and I don't want to keep on rambling, but I will come back to SPD in the future. Another honorable mention that I'll probably cover in a separate video is A-Squad. I loved A-Squad and their story in the show. It felt a little rushed at times, but it was still really great. I want to talk about the villains in a separate video as well, but for now, like I said, I'm going to leave it here. I want to know what you guys think. What did you like about SPD? What did you not like about SPD? Where would you rank it in the Power Rangers series as a whole? Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? Where would it fall? But that's all for today's video. I hope you all did enjoy. Leave your feedback in the comments below, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.